Good morning, my dear students. Today we are going to discuss the fourth prose, the summit of 12th standard. Summit, okay, not submit, it is a summit. By Edmund Hillary. Okay. So why it is called summit? Because it is about the mountain. All the mountain is formed because of the summation of the slit deposited by the river. Okay. In last year 12th standard you had studied about the origin of the Himalaya, how the Himalayas formed. I hope you know. This is also about the Himalaya, how they had climbed the Mount Everest. So the geologists believe there is one landmass which is surrounded by the water. Due to the tectonic force, the landmass are divided into two, Angara and Gondwana. In between that there is a river that is called the Tetsi. River, it bring the slit and deposited in the Tetsi. Due to the tectonic force, the sea tectonic force it's make into upside down. That's how the Himalaya was formed. It is a belief. Okay, so Himalaya is called young folded mountain because of the submission of the slit drained from the land of Angara and the Gondwana. Okay, let us see. The adventurous and the expeditions and the explorations are always exciting. Definitely adventurous, expedition, exploration, it's really very excited to us, especially when we are real and it is the first time of its kind. It is even more thrilling. The thing which we are achieving at the first, it will create a more thrilling to us. The only question that comes to one's mind is what makes one to take up such task. What is the thing that is making us to do the task? எது நம்மளை செய்ய தோணுது? It is the spirit of the formidable adventure and certain qualities which makes them achieve some feast. Certain qualities which may have, that makes us to the thought of adventurous, the formidable, நமக்குள்ள புதஞ்சு இருக்கிற அந்த adventurous தான் என்ன பண்ணுது? அந்த சில விஷயங்களை நம்மளை செய்ய தோன்றுது. Okay, so before entering to the prose, we will have an author introduction. We will see Sir Edmund Percival Hillary, who was born in 20 July 1919 and 11th January 2008 he was passed away. He was a New Zealand mountaineer, explorer and the philanthropist. He served as a Royal New Zealand Air Force as a navigator during the World War II. Following this ascent of the Everest, the Hillary devoted himself to assist the Sherpa people of the Nepal through the Himalayan Trust, which he established the high adventurous, no latitude for error, nothing adventure, nothing win, view from the summit, the remarkable memorial by the first person to conquer the Everest are some of this famous work. So he had written so many stories also, like high adventurous, no latitude forever, nothing venture, nothing win, view from the summit, so remarkable memories. Likewise he had written so many famous work he had written. Okay, so he also worked in the Air Force as a navigator during the World War II. Let us see what is described there. This prose unit is slightly adapted from the extract from the ascent of Everest. So from his ascent of Everest, it is a extract. கொஞ்சோண்டு ஒரு குட்டியா அதில் எடுக்கப்பட்ட ஒரு பகுதி by John Hunt. So here the John Hunt, it was written by, it is taken from that extract, the ascent of Everest by John Hunt. Let us see what is that he was described in this part. Sir Edmund Hillary's own words tells how the summit of the Everest was reached. So Hillary's own word had said how they reached the Everest. On May 28, there was 6 men at the camp 8 on the South Col. Edmund Hillary, Tenzing, George Low, Albert George and the two Sherpas, the Vemba and the Nima, but the Vemba was too ill to climb. The another heavily laden climbed that day to the height of 227 and 900 feet. Here Hilary and Tenzing put up the little tent and watched their three companions go down the ridge back towards the south pole. So on 28th May, how many people are there? There are 8 people are there. 28th May it is happening. Who are they? One is Edmund Hillary. The camp they have in the south pole. Okay, south pole. Edmund Hillary and Tenzing George Lowe, Paul for George, okay, and Sherpas means they are helpers. One is a Pemba, another one is a Nima. Okay, and how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there 6 is there. Another heavily laden they climb. Another people they are going down at the feet of 27,900 feet. They are climbing a day height. Okay, here Hillary and Tenzing they put up their little tent. There they had made a little tent. Who are Edmund Hillary and Tenzing? And watch their 3 companions go down the ridge back towards the south pole. Another companion they are going down to the south pole. South pole is a station which is there at the foot of the peak. Okay, foot of the peak. As the sun rises, Hillary Tenzing crawled into the tent and put all their warm cloth and wriggled into their sleeping bag. Next morning at 4 a.m. on 29th May, they began to get ready for their climb. So the 28th, all they went there, they camped at the south pole. Other they went down, and all the companions they went down. Only Hillary and Tenzing is there. They had made a camp there and a tent there, and they crawled into it. Surundu ulradhu wriggle, WRIGGLED, wriggled na enadhu surundu kedakkuradhu. They are crawled into their sleeping bag, and the next day they are at the morning 4 a.m. The next day 29th May they began get ready for their climbing. We start up all our cooker. The first they had described into 28 points, I think so. So we will see one by one. We start up. This is the incident which is happening at the 29th May. Okay. So we start up our cooker and they drank large quantities of the lemon juice and the sugar, and follow this with the last tin of the sardines and on biscuits. I dragged our oxygen sets into the laden tent, cleaned the eyes off them, and then rechecked and tested them. So we started up the cooker. So they started the cooker and they taken the cooker, a large quantity of the lemon juice. So they are drinking the hot lemon juice. Okay, and sugar. They are adding the sugar on the lemon juice. How the lemon juice? It is hot, and they are prepared the large quantity of the lemon juice with the sugar, and followed with the last tin of the sardine on biscuit. Sardine is a tiny fish, type of very small kind of fish. They are keeping the fish on the biscuit and they are eating there. I drag our oxygen set into the tent. They are dragging means ilithittu poradhu. He dragged the oxygen set and into the tent and clean the ice off. They are making the ice to fall. Ellam thodaikiranga. And then recheck and tested them. They are checking whether there is any leakage in the oxygen cylinder or not, and he was checking them. Okay, so this is a journey they are starting at 29th May. Okay, I had removed my boots which had become wet and the day before, and they were now frozen solid. So I cooked them over the furnace flame of the premise and managed to soften them up. Over our down clothing, we downed our waterproofed, and on our hand, we pulled the 3 pairs of the gloves, silver, woolen and windproof. So now he had removed the boots, and what they want to do, which had become wet because of the snowfall, it become wet. The day before they were now frozen solid. How the shoes or the boots are as a frozen solid. Frozen solid means pani madri orange irukku. So I cooked them over the flame of the primus. Primus means a type of stove. They are keeping the boots on the stove and making it too hot, and managed to soften them. Because of the heat, the leather become soft. Overdrawn clothing we drawn. They drawn windproof. They are wearing the windproof. On their hand they pulled 3 pairs of gloves. One is made up of silver, another one silk, another one is made up of woolen, and another one is made up of windproof. So they had taken the 3 sets of gloves, and they wore the windproof jacket also. The third point, the first one, how they are getting ready. They had taken the cooker, and they had warmed the water. They had making the lemon juice by adding the sugar, and they ate the sardine on the biscuits, the fish, for tiny fish. They ate that, and they are making boots to get ready by warming them because it is a frozen solid. They warmed, and they wore the windproof jacket, as well as they had taken 3 pairs of gloves. One is made up of silk, another one is made up of woolen, another one is made up of windproof. Okay, the third point, let us see the third one. At 6:30 a.m. we crawled out of that tent into the snow, hoisted our 30 lb. lb means a pound. Okay, that is a measurement of the oxygen gear on our back, connected up to the mast, and turned to the valve of the bring life-giving oxygen into our lungs. A few good deep breath, and we are ready to go. Still a little worried about my cold feet, I asked Tenzing to move off. So now when they are waked up, they are woken at 4:30. Now it is 6:30. So they crawled out of the tent into the snow. Now they are leaving the tent and entering into the snow. Hoisted they are carrying the 30 lb, means 30 pound of the oxygen cylinder on the back, and now they have a deep breath from their lungs, and they good breath for their lungs, and they are getting ready to go. But he have a little worry that about his cold feet. So he is asking Hilary asking Tenzing to move forward. Tenzing kicked the step in a long traverse back towards the ridge, and we reached it the trust, where he forms a great snow bump of about 28,000 feet. From here the ridge narrowed to the knife edge, as we feet were now warm. I took over the lead. So now he started to walk, traverse on the back towards the ridge, the pathway in the mountain. Ridge means, so they are walking in the pathway in the mountain, and they reach the crest means uchiki poitanga. There is in the form of the great snow bumped of about 28,000 feet. So the snow was bumped and the kuvichi vechirukku evlo 28,000 feet. From there the ridge narrow a knife edge, and my feet were now warm. I took over the lead. Now the Hilary feet was little warm, so he is over the lead means he is moving forward. First, who is traveling at the first? Tenzing. Now on the ridge, knife ridge. Now his feet is Hilary's feet is warm, so now he is moving forward. The fourth point, the soft snow made a route on the top of the ridge both difficult and danger, which sometimes held my weight but often gave away suddenly. After several hundred feet, we came to a tiny hollow and found that there was 2 oxygen bottles left on the early attempt by the Ivas and the Bontrello. I cracked the ice of the cage, and I was relieved to find that they were still containing several hundred liters of oxygen, enough to take us down to the South Pole if used sparingly. So now the soft snow made a route of the top of the ridge both difficult and danger, and sometimes held my weight but often gave way suddenly. So how the snow is? The snow is very soft, and the route it makes the route on the top. The top of the mountain is made up of the root, made up of the snow. How the snow is? The snow is very soft, and the ridge both difficulty and hard. It is very difficult and danger for him to walk. So it can maintain his weight, but suddenly what happened, it's giving way. அப்படின்னா அந்த ஸ்னோ வந்து எனக்கு ரொம்ப சாஃப்டாக இருக்குது, அதில் அவரால் நடக்க முடியலை, அது ரொம்ப டிஃபிகல்ட்டாகவும் இருக்குது, டேஞ்சராகவும் இருக்குது. சில நேரம் அவர் வெயிட் தாங்கிடுது, சில நேரம் என்ன பண்ணிடுது, அவரை வலிக்கி விட்டுருது. After several hundred feet, after traveling for the several hundred feet, we come to the tiny hollow. There one hollow is there, and found there is a 2 oxygen cylinder. அங்கே ஒரு ஹாலோனா என்னது, ஒரு வெற்றிடம் இருக்குது, ஒரு வெற்றிடம்னு சொல்லுறது ஒரு குழி மாதிரி இருக்குது, அதில் பார்த்தா என்னது 2 oxygen cylinder is there. And it was led by Evans and the Brontilon. They are the both who came earlier than these 2 people. உங்களுக்கு முன்னாடி வந்த 2 travelers. They sprang the ice of the cage and I scraped the ice of this cage and was relieved to find that they were still containing several hundred liters of oxygen. So they had taken the ice from the cylinder and there are several hundred of liter of oxygen is remaining. Enough to get us down to the south pole if you used sprankingly means கொஞ்சம் கொஞ்சமாக யூஸ் பண்ணால், சரியான முறையில் யூஸ் பண்ணால் கீழே சவுத் கோல் போகிறதுக்கு என்ன இருக்கும், அந்த இது நமக்கு போதுமானது. I continue making a trial up the ridge leading up for the last 400 feet to the southern summit. The snow of this phase was danger, but we persisted in our effort to beat the trail up in. They continue making and they are started walking. They are leading up for last 400 feet to the southern summit. For southern summit they are moving towards 400 feet. The snow of this phase was danger. The snow which is there is very danger, but we persisted in our effort to beat the trail up it. So because of the effort they had beat the trail. அதை வென்று என்ன பண்ணாங்க, தள்ளி போகிறாங்க. We made frequent changes of the lead. As I tramped a trail in the deep snow, a section round me gave away and I slipped back through the 3 or 4 of my step. I discussed with Tenzing that advisability to go on, and he also admitted that he felt unhappy about the snow condition and finished with this familiar phrase, just as you wish. So while walking, frequently they will change the lead. At some time Hillary will go front, another time Tenzing will go. So they will change the lead. At the time, as I was stamming a trail in the deep snow, stamming means he is breaking. புரியுதா, பனியை உடச்சி என்ன பண்ணும், ஸ்டெப்பாக போகணும். ஸோ ஆஸ் ஐ வாஸ் ஸ்டாமிங் a trail in a deep snow, a section round me gave away and I slipped back for 3 to 4 of my step. He will climb, மேலே போய் என்னது அந்த ஸ்டெப்பு கட் பண்ணும் போது 4-3 அடி என்னது கீழே வந்து மறுபடியும் விழுறார். I discussed with Tenzing that it is advisable to go on. He has asked whether we can continue, போகலாமா அப்படின்னு கேட்குறான். Even if he was unhappy, he will ended with the same phrase, as you wish. நீ நினச்சபடி உன் விருப்பம் அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவோம்ல, just as you wish அப்படின்னு சொல்கிறார். I decided to go on and we finally reached the firmer snow higher up and then chipped steps at the last steep slopes and the crampened on the south peak. It was now 9 a.m. Then they came at the third point they had explained. They start their journey at 6:30. They started to packed all their things and now it is 9 o'clock. They had gone little higher. They continue. And we cut the seat for ourselves just below the south summit and remove our oxygen apparatus as the first partly full bottle of the oxygen was now exhausted. We have only 1 full bottle left. Our apparatus was much lighter, the weight just over 20 lb. And I cut steps down off the south summit. I felt the sense of freedom and well-being. Now they were reached to the south peak. They had cutted the steps and they reached the south peak and it was now 9 p.m. Now they had cut the seats of ourselves. They are cutting themselves below the south summit. The south summit கீழே என்ன பண்ணுறாங்க, ஒரு ஸ்டெப்ஸை கட் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்காங்க. Removed of the oxygen apparatus. They had taken the oxygen apparatus out as the first partly full bottle of the oxygen was now exhausted. It was finished, முடிஞ்சு போச்சு. So they had taken the bottle out. We have only 1 full bottle. They have only 1 full bottle is there. Our apparatus is much lighter now because of they emptied the bottle of the oxygen. Now they feel little light. There is no that much heavy. And as I cut steps down off the south summit, I felt a sense of freedom. Then they feel a sense of freedom and well-being. ஏதோ நல்லா இருக்கிற மாதிரி அவங்களுக்கு தோணுது. As the ice axe bit into the first step slope of the ridge, my high hopes was realized. The snow was crystalline and firm. 2 or 3 blows of the ice axe produced a large step large enough even for our oversized high altitude boots, and the firm thrust of the ice axe could sink in halfway by the shaft and giving a solid comfortable belay. So now as the ice axe is bit into the first steep slopes of the ridge, so as my ice axe, first his ice axe, using his ice axe, he bit into the first steep slope of the ridge, my high hope were realized. He had realized his hope. The snow or crystalline, அப்படி ஈஸியானது அடித்தா என்னது ஈஸியாக அப்படி பொறுன்னு போகுது, அதான் crystalline. And firm. 2 or 3 blow of the ice axe produce a large step large enough even or oversized high altitude boot. ஸோ என்னது ஒரு 3-4 அந்த சுத்தியல் வச்சு அந்த ஐஸ் ஆக்ஸை வச்சு அடிக்கும் போது என்னது தே காட் அ லார்ஜ் ஸ்பேஸ் ஃபார் தேர் ஷூ வைக்கிற அளவுக்கு என்னது அவங்களுக்கு இடம் கிடைக்குது. ஸோ த நியூ ஹோப் அரைஸ், த ஹை ஹோப்ஸ் ரியலைஸ்ட் ஹி வாஸ். And the firm thrust to the ice axe could sink it halfway by the shift, giving a solid and the comfortable belay. So belay means hold. Because of that, the ice are crystalline and it is easy for him to break the snow. Now he can easily comfortably hold his leg there. We moved one at the time. I would cut the 40-foot line of steps, tensing belaying me while I work. Then I would sink my shaft and put my few loops on the rope around it, and tensing protected again the breaking steps. Could move up to me. Then once again, as he belayed me, I would go on cutting. The one nothing. Just when Hillary is working, tensing helping. When tensing is working, Hillary. Belaying means hold. ஒருத்தர் விட்டுவாங்க, என்னது ஒருத்தரை பிடிச்சிப்பாங்க. That is the thing. In the number of the place, the overhanging ice cornices were very large indeed, and in the order to escape them, I cut the lines of the steps down to where the snow met the rock on the west. And it was a great thrill to look straight down with the enormous rock's face and to see 8,000 feet below us the tiny tent of the Camp 4 in the western CWM. Cramping on the rock and cutting handhold on the snow, we were able to shuffle past this difficult position. So the number of places there is a overhanging ice cornices. Ice cornices na இப்போ ஒரு பாறை இருக்குன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க, அந்த பாறையும் தாண்டி இப்படி ஐஸ் வந்து இப்படி அதை தாண்டி வெளியே வந்து இப்படி இருக்கும்ல. சம்டைம்ஸ் இப்போ ஒரு ஃப்ரிட்ஜ் வாஸ் ஓவர் ஃப்ரோசன், அப்போ பார்த்தீங்கன்னா அந்த நம்ம வச்சுருக்க பொருளையும் தாண்டி மேலெல்லாம் என்னது அந்த டோரில் அந்த ஃப்ரீசரில் இந்த மேலெல்லாம் ஐஸ் க்யூப்ஸ் இப்படி குச்சியாக நிற்கும். இப்போ எட்ஜையும் தாண்டி நிற்கிறது, சரி, அந்த ராக்கோட எட்ஜையும் தாண்டி வெளியே வந்து என்ன பண்ணும், அந்த ஐஸ் வந்து ஃபார்ம் ஆகுது, ஐஸ் கார்னிசஸ். சரியா? ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் இந்த ராக் இப்படி இருக்குன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க, இப்படி இஸ் அ ராக், இதுக்கு மேலே அந்த ஸ்னோ படர்ந்துருக்குன்னு வச்சுக்கோ, அந்த ஐஸ் வந்து இப்படி படர்ந்துருக்குன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க. ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் இதுதான் அந்த இந்த ராக்கை வந்து இப்படி ஃபோல்ட் பண்ணிட்டு வச்சுக்கோ. கார்னசஸ் இந்த மவுண்டன் இப்படி இருக்குன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க, இதில் இருக்குன்னா இது என்ன பண்ணும், இதையும் தாண்டி அந்த ஐஸ் வந்து என்ன பண்ணும், இந்த பக்கம் இப்படி ஃபார்ம் ஆகிடும், அதான் ஐஸ் கார்னசஸ், மழையும் தாண்டி. சரியா? தட் இஸ் அ ஐஸ் கார்னசஸ். So in some area that is a ice, there is large indeed, so overhanging of ice cornices were the large indeed. So in order to escape from them, I cut the line of the step down where the snow meet the rock and the rest. ஸோ அதை பத்திரமா கட் பண்ணதுக்கு என்ன பண்ணுறாங்க, கரெக்டாக எங்கே ஸ்னோ வந்து அந்த ராக்கை மீட் பண்ணுதோ அந்த வெஸ்ட்டில் பார்த்து என்ன பண்ணுறாங்க, கட் பண்ணுறோம். ஓகே, இட் வாஸ் அ கிரேட் த்ரில் டு லுக் அ லார்ஜ் ஸ்ட்ரைட் வித் அ enormous rock face to see. So it is very thrill for them because there is a enormous பெரிய ராக்ஸ் எல்லாம் அங்கே எது இருக்குது. And what is the height? It is 8,000 feet. Okay, and we were able to shuffle past the difficult position. They are shuffling, கொஞ்சம் ஏதோ கஷ்டமாக, இவர் கஷ்டமாக இருக்கும்போது அவர் வெட்டுறாரு, அவர் கஷ்டமாக இருக்கும்போது இவர் வெட்டுறாரு. Okay, so the tensing and hilaring, they are exchanging their work. On its west side was a great cornice and running up the full 40 feet of the step were the narrow crack between the cornices and the rock, leaving tensing to belay me as the best he could. I jumped up the way into this crack, then kicking backward, I sank the spikes of my crampons deep into the frozen snow, and behind me they levered myself off to the ground. So see, on the west side was another great cornice. The west side, another east, they are cutting at the west, and the east side there is another cornices is there. So it is 40 feet. How it is running full of 40 feet. So that is also a crack, a narrow crack between the steps, the cornices and the rock. So they have to break the snow very carefully, leaving tensing to belay me as the best he could. What Hilary is making the tensing எப்படி பிடிச்சிக்கிறாராம், தன்னால் எவ்வளோ கெட்டியாக அவரை பிடிச்சிக்க முடியுமோ அவ்வளோ கெட்டியாக எனது பத்திரமா பிடிச்சிக்கிறார். He is doing the best. And I jumped my way into the crack. So he had jumped into the crack. Then kicked backward. பின்னாடியோடு என்ன பண்ணுறாரு, பின்னாடி kicked backwardனா பின்ன பார்த்து குதிக்கிறார். I sank the spike of my crampton deep into the frozen snow behind me. அவருக்கு பின்னாடி இருக்க அந்த ஃப்ரோசன் சோல் என்ன பண்ணுறாரு, தன்னோட அந்த கிராம்பான் அப்படி சொல்லுவாங்கள்ல, அந்த ஸ்பைக் ஷூ மாதிரி இருக்கும்ல, அதில் என்ன பண்ணுறாரு, அதை வந்து ஒரு ஃப்ரோசன் சோல் ஸ்னோவில் என்ன பண்ணுறாரு வைக்கிறார். அண்ட் லெவர்ட் மை செல்ஃப் ஆஃப் த கிரவுண்ட். என்னது எப்பாடி ஒரு வழியில் என்ன பண்ணுறாரு, நிற்கிறார். சரியா? I hope you had understand so far how they had went. They had started the journey at the 28th May to the South Cole with some people with him, and the main is Edmund Hillary and the Tenzing. They are going. They started their journey at the 29th May. At the first they had started their cooker, and they prepared the lime juice with the sugar, and they had warmed their shoes in the stove, and they had taken the 3 pairs of cloths. That is, one is a woolen, silk and the windproof. They had wore the windproof coat, and they had carried the oxygen cylinder at the weight of 30 lb, that is 30 pound, at the time of 6:30 am, and they had reached the place. They started to climb, and he had explained how the snow is. It is very narrow and it is very difficult for him to climb, and they have to cut the cornices, and they are using the ice axe. They are cutting the steps, and the snow is very crystalline, so it is easy for them to have a comfort belay. So they had keep on cutting the west, and at the east they turned the east. There is a 40 feet of the cornices are there, so it is difficult for him to cut at the time. What happened, Tenzing helped him, and he belayed him as best as he could, and at last he had jumped forward beyond the snow, and he was leveled in the ground. Let us see the remaining part in the next class. I hope you had understand. Please read the lesson 1 or 2 times for your better understanding. Thank you.